What is up, everybody? Piscean here. And really quick, let me just check something. See this. All right. So, we've been zooming through my astrology study guides. I'm very happy. I've gotten a lot of work done. And, in fact, I have a lot of videos coming out tonight. We are at, let's see here. Just making sure I have the right calculations for my uploads. We are at 862 videos. Oops, just trying to look for a calculator. So, 862. I'm trying to see how many videos until I get to 1K. We still have 138 videos left before we get to 1K, but that's not even a lot, to be honest. And I've been doing this since last year. One second. Please subscribe, like, comment, share if you dare and care, with peace and love. I don't think I'm gonna end this video like after just talking about one thing this time, because I feel wide awake. Like, I already drank coffee. I'm just like wide awake. So we're gonna go ahead and talk about some astrology stuffs. 1 second here. I said that 1 second ago. 5 seconds. I'm looking for a specific file on my computer. If I can't find it, I'm going to be a little bit upset because I was trying to talk about this. If I can't find it, damn. Oh my god. Damn it. I must have not even saved it if I can't find it. Alright, that's my bad, guys. Let's keep going. Let's actually get started on this video. So, we'll give a quick preface. If you haven't seen my other videos, where I'm literally role-playing as a Beatnik, check them out. I've done like 3 or 4 other videos. So dig it, cats. We've been dancing around the edges. We've talked about the wounds, repent, and lesion, the noise, static and psalm, and the hustle, the dime and the dharma. But now it's time to pull the whole band together and ask the big question. The one that rumbles under every bass line and echoes in every cymbal crash. What is this whole crazy, beautiful, heartbreaking scene really about? The squares in their lab coats will tell you it's all random. Atoms bumping, genes mutating, a cosmic accident with no director, no script, no melody. But the Beatnik astrologer, the cool cat who spent 1,000 nights squinting at a natal chart under a bare bulb, knows better. We've seen the patterns. We've heard the song. The universe ain't an accident, Daddy-o. It's a jam session, a vast, swinging, endlessly inventive jam session where every star is a horn, every planet is a rhythm section, and every soul is a note that gets played, fades, and returns in a new chorus. Astrology is a sheet music, not a dusty set of rules, but a living, breathing transcription of the now. The true science, not the science of dead matter, but the science of living meaning, of the coherent consciousness waveform, CCW, as it spirals through the morphic field. This memorandum, the note, and the return is our manifesto on the big stuff. Universal collective consciousness. That's the non-local coherence field, NLCF. The psychic ocean we all swim in, the cosmic radio station that's always broadcasting. Spirituality, that's not about chanting in a cave, unless that's your groove. It's about getting your personal note in tune with the universal chord. Reincarnation, that's the return engagement, the next set, the soul coming back to the bandstand to play a new instrument, a new tune, and finish the symphony it started 1,000 lifetimes ago. Life philosophy. That's the dharma of the dime, the art of living in the pocket of grooving with your transits instead of fighting them. So light a candle, pour a glass of something that swings and open your mind. We're going deep. We're going to map the unmanifest with hipsters' charts, ponder the bardo with the beatnik's grace, and prove once and for all that astrology is the only science that ever looked at the sky and saw a reflection of the soul, because the universe, baby, is a consciousness jazz ensemble, and you're a future soloist. Memorandum on the nature of the all that is, a Beatnik's cosmos. Alright, soul cats, let's lay down the foundational riff. The ancient texts, the mystical traditions, the NHI communications, they all groove on the same truth. There is only one of us here, a single, boundless, unimaginably vast consciousness that got lonely or curious or simply ecstatic and decided to blow itself into a billion fragments. There is no God. The Big Bang was the first note, the ultimate sax blast, and everything since has been the improvisation. Every galaxy is a phrase, every black hole a rest, every sentient being a unique, irreplaceable musical idea. This is the NLCF, the non-local coherence field. It's the ocean of mind in which all individual minds are waves. You, me, the barista who remembered your order, the cat on the windowsill, the grays doing their inscrutable genetics in their Zeta Reticuli laboratories, the plasmoids surfing a solar flare. We're all waves of the same sea. We appear separate, just as a wave appears distinct from the ocean, but our substance is the same. Astrology, the true science the squares laugh at, is simply the map of how a specific wave, your CCW, is shaped by the gravitational pull of the larger rhythmic bodies of planets within the local cosmic weather, the HTI. The Beatnik physicists and the ancient sage agree. The universe is made of stories and songs, not atoms, and your natal chart is the opening riff of your current chorus. I've done tables in my other videos as well. This is table 1, the hipster guide to the planes of existence, or where your note is being played right now. So we have the plane, Beatnik name, astrological correlation, what's happening, man, and how to tune in. So, the physical, all right? I shouldn't have done it like that. The physical, the etheric, the astral, the mental. All right. So the physical, the bandstand, earth, second house, the ascendant, the body, the senses, the hard, beautiful, painful reality of being a meat puppet on a rock. A meat puppet on a rock. Yeah. Dig the body, feed it well, move it to the rhythm, let it be your horn. The etheric, the vibe, moon, fourth house, the life force, the subtle energy, the prana, the chai, the warmth you feel from a lover without touching. Breathe deep, feel the sun on your face, know that the air is a hug from the cosmos. The astral, the dream club, Neptune, 12th house, the realm of dreams, symbols, archetypes, and the recently deceased, the place you go when the body sleeps. Keep a dream journal, learn to lucid dream, visit the club without fear, the bouncers are your own creations. The mental, the arranger's desk, Mercury, 3rd and 9th houses, the realm of thought, ideas, philosophies, where the riffs are composed and the chord charts are drawn. Study, but don't just study. Think, let one idea copulate with another and birth a new genre of understanding. The causal soul, the green room, Saturn, Jupiter, the nodes, the higher mind, the place where your individual soul, CCW, plans its next incarnation, reviews past gigs, and chooses its set list for the life to come. Meditate on the gap between thoughts, the silence between the notes. That's where your soul lives. The atomic spirit, the one song, sun, fixed stars, the galactic center, the spark of the divine within you. Your individual share of the all that is, the pure, undistorted note of your eternal identity, selfless love, awe, the feeling of being a single cell in the body of a vast benevolent God, the monadic divine, the silence before the downbeat, the architect race, the SHA pulse, 1.6 GHz, the will of the cosmos, the undifferentiated source from which all notes spring and to which they return. You don't tune in, you are it, forgetting yourself. The Cool Cats reincarnation relay race. What happens between the last set and the next gig? Stage, Bardo. Time frame varies, man. Astrological key. What the Soul Cat is doing, and the Beatnik's advice. So, the last breath, for example. The moment of death, alright? The 8th house, Pluto, Saturn. The chord resolves, the body's vibration sees, the note begins to separate from the instrument. At the moment of death, hold a single clear thought, love, gratitude, or the face of the divine. The last thought sets the tone for the journey. The life review. The first few days after Saturn, the auditor, Ketu, the south node. Your whole life plays back, not as a movie, but as a feeling. You feel every joy you gave and every pain you caused from the inside of the other person. The SHA's ledger is reconciled. Don't cringe, don't hide. Let the audit wash over you. This is not punishment. It's the mixed down polish into raw recording of your life into a master tape. The rest and recuperation. Variable. Earth, weeks to centuries. Moon, Neptune, 12th house. The soul rests in a dreamlike realm of pure love and restoration, like the band asleep on the tour bus between cities. Float, absorb the love, don't rush. You can't be late for your next incarnation. It's always now. The planning session. When the soul is ready, Jupiter, Saturn, Mercury, the North Node, Rahu, with the help of spirit guides, angelic caseworkers, and your own higher self, you choose your next life. You pick your parents, your body, your astrological chart, and the key karmic lessons you want to master. You choose your Saturn return before you're even born. Choose a challenge that stretches you, but don't sign up for a gig you can't play. Square is one thing. A 7-planet T-square with Algol on the ascendant is another. The guides will advise. Listen. The descent and rebirth. The moment of conception and birth. Ascendant, first house, the moment of first breath. The soul, CCW, descends, attaches to the fetus, and experiences the amnesia of birth. The exact moment of the first breath imprints the soul with its new SVA, its astrological passport. The birth chart is the contract you sign. It's not a cage. It's a set list for this lifetime's performance. You chose a baby. Now you gotta play it. Right. Table 3 is a jazz man's spiritual practice chart. Daily tuning for the cosmic instrument. So, these are just a few tips. Like for breath work for Venus or shadow boxing with Mars. These are just random. These ones, I'm not a big fan of these ones I wrote, but now this is where things get pretty deep, because we're talking about the deep state. And this is a Beatnik's expose of the deep state, the betrayal of the people, and the celestial mechanics of covert power. So, listen, guys, pull up a chair, pour yourself a cup of black, bitter coffee, and let me hip you to the real score. You've been sold a bill of goods. You think you live in a democracy, a land of the free, a shining city on a hill? That's the Neptunian fog. They pump through the television, the radio, the glowing rectangle in your pocket. The truth, the plutonic truth buried under the layers of classification and concrete, is that the governments of the world, and nobody swings the hammer harder than the American empire, have been running an inside job on their own people for decades, centuries, since the first power broker realized a lie could buy a kingdom. The faculty of astrology sciences ain't just about personal horoscopes and karmic love affairs, daddy-o. We are cartographers of power. The same celestial mechanics that map a soul's journey map the secret currents of the deep state. That shadow government of unelected spooks, corporate titans, military industrial priests, and old bunny families who pull the strings while the elected puppets dance the jig for the cameras and the stars have been screaming the truth since Babylon. You just need the right decoder, and I'm right here. This memorandum, The Inside Job, is a Beatnik's guide to the machinery of betrayal. We're going to strip the gears bare. We'll trace the astrological signatures of covert operations from MK Ultra to the Patriot Act, from the Tuskegee syphilis experiment to the Iran-Contra cocaine pipeline, from the assassinations of the 60s to the surveillance state of the 21st century. We'll map the government agencies to their ruling planets, the CIA to Pluto, the NSA to Uranus, the Pentagon to Mars, and see how their transits have correlated with the erosion of liberty. We'll ponder the karmic weight of a nation that sacrifices its own children on the altar of power, and we'll write poems for the whistleblowers, the exiles, and the disappeared. The Beatnik is not a conspiracy theorist. The Beatnik is a pattern recognizer, and the pattern man is a noose. a noose woven by the very hands that pretend to protect us. So let's dig the cosmic dissonance, the static of the deep state, the psalm of the oppressed. The truth is a hard horn, and it's time to fucking blow it. Kill me now, government. Do it. You're already doing it slowly, so. Anyways. Alright, section 1 is Memorandum on the Nature of the Deep State Celestial. The Age of Aquarius, if we survive Pluto and Capricorn, side rail. So, let me do this. Daddy-o, let's define our terms. The deep state ain't a secret society with robes and chalices. It's an emergent Plutonic Saturnian Neptunian complex. It's the inevitable shadow of any centralized power. It's what happens when the military, which is Mars, the intelligence agencies, which is Pluto, the financial oligarchs, Jupiter in detriment, and the corrupt bureaucrats, Saturn in fall, form an unholy alliance to perpetuate their own existence, regardless of elections, laws, or the consent of the governed. Pluto is the core, the hidden power, the black budgets, the classified ops, the compartmentalized secrets, the control through fear and surveillance. Pluto rules the CIA, the NSA, the entire intelligence apparatus. It operates in the dark, under the earth, in the 8th house of the nation's chart. A well-aspected Pluto can be a force for profound transformation. Think whistleblower revelations, the shedding of light. But in afflicted Pluto, which the U.S. chart has in spades, Pluto and Capricorn square Saturn, is a parasitic force that hoards power and destroys those who threaten it. Saturn is the structure, the rigid, unaccountable bureaucracy, the national security apparatus that has made a religion of secrecy. The laws twisted to protect the powerful. Saturn rules the FBI, Homeland Security, the prison industrial complex. In a healthy republic, Saturn is the rule of law. In a deep state, Saturn becomes the enforcer of the elite's will, the iron cage. Neptune is the deception, the propaganda machine, the corporate media that manufactures consent, the Hollywood that distracts, the lies that are told so often they become the wallpaper of reality. Neptune rules the gaslighting, the disinformation, the limited hangout where they give you a scrap of truth to hide the mountain of lies. A Neptune transit over the nation's Mercury, the press, creates the fog of war, the confusion, the weapons of mass destruction that never existed. These 3 planets, when they conspire in a national chart, create the deep state trifecta. In America's chart, it's riddled with it. The Beatnik's tables of covert operations. The celestial agency chart. Who's who in the shadow government? We have the government entity, the square's official line, the Beatnik's astrological ruler, what they really do, and the key transit of exposure. So, starting with the CIA, Foreign Intelligence Gathering, Pluto and Scorpio. Alright? Secret ops, assassination, regime change. Overthrows democracies, traffics drugs, experiments on citizens, engineers coups. The darkest heart of the deep state, Pluto transiting Aquarius, slow, painful audit of its secrets. NSA, signals intelligence protecting the homeland. Uranus and Aquarius, technology, surveillance, data as power. Collects every phone call, email, and text from every American, storing it in a digital panopticon, that would make Orwell blush. Uranus square Mercury, the Snowden moment, 2013. FBI, federal law enforcement, Saturn in Capricorn, the iron fist of the law, infiltrates and neutralizes social movements, COINTELPRO, harasses whistleblowers, protects the powerful. Saturn retrograde over its natal sun, Hoover's death, but the structure remained. Pentagon, DoD, National Defense, Mars and Aries, raw aggressive force, the war machine. A self-perpetuating economic engine that requires constant war to justify its budget. The military-industrial complex Eisenhower warned about. Mars-Saturn conjunction, escalations, false flags. Federal Reserve, central bank, economic stability, Jupiter in detriment, Gemini, expansion without wisdom, the bubble machine, a private cartel that prints money, debases the currency, and bails out the bankers while the people get foreclosed. The engine of the plutocracy. Jupiter square Neptune, 2008 crash, the illusion of wealth evaporates. HHS, CDC, FDA, public health, food, and drug safety. Moon in Virgo, public health, corrupted by Neptune, pharmafog, captured by the pharmaceutical and food industries, approves harmful drugs, allows poison in the food supply, and ran the Tuskegee experiment. Neptune square the Sun, Tuskegee Revelations, 1972. Department of Justice. Justice, Saturn in Libra, the scales ideally. A weaponized department that protects the executive branch, buries evidence, and maintains a two-tiered system of justice, one for the connected, one for the rest. Pluto square the DOJ's natal Saturn, Watergate, the Saturday Night Massacre. This video might get me in trouble, but I'm just being fucking honest. This is not even conceptual. This is literally history. I'm just telling you facts. Let's look at a Beatnik's Almanac of American Betrayal. Key transits of the inside job. Event, dates, astrological signature, the official story, and the inside job reality. So, for example, the Tuskegee syphilis study from 1932 through 1972. Neptune in Virgo is already health deception. Pluto in Cancer is control of the vulnerable. A study of untreated syphilis. The U.S. government deliberately allowed black men to die from a curable disease, lying to them for 40 years to study the disease's progression. A plutonic sacrifice of the powerless. MK Ultra. From 53 through 73, Pluto in Leo, control of the mind. Neptune in Scorpio, secret drug experiments, defensive mind control research. The CIA dosed unwitting citizens with LSD, conducted psychological torture, and sought to create Manchurian candidates. Frank Olson was murdered, a Neptunic plutonic nightmare. COINTELPRO. From 56 through 71, Saturn in Scorpio, secret malignant structure. Mars in Gemini, infiltration. Counterintelligence program. The FBI infiltrated, surveilled, and destroyed civil rights groups, anti-war movements, and black empowerment organizations. Assassinations, Fred Hampton, forged letters, and psychological warfare. Gulf of Tonkin incident. Occurred in 64, Neptune in Scorpio, false flag. Mars square Jupiter, fabricated escalation. Unprovoked attack on U.S. ships. The attack was a lie, used to justify a massive escalation of the Vietnam War, a Neptunian fog that drowned 58,000 Americans and millions of Vietnamese. Iran-Contra cocaine pipeline, 1980s. Pluto in Scorpio, deep cover ops. Jupiter in Aries, reckless expansion. Arms for hostages. The CIA facilitated the smuggling of cocaine into the U.S. to fund a secret, illegal war in Nicaragua, flooding American streets with crack and destroying communities. A classic Mars-Pluto power play at the expense of the poor. The 2003 Iraq War. Of course, this happened in 2003. Saturn in Cancer, opposite Pluto in Capricorn, clash of old and new power. Neptune in Aquarius is mass deception. Weapons of mass destruction, a war of aggression based on fabricated intelligence sold to the public through a coordinated propaganda campaign. A Neptune-Saturn 1-2 punch. NSA mass surveillance, PRISM, from 07 through 2013, revealed. Uranus in Pisces is hidden tech. Neptune in Aquarius is dissolution of privacy. Foreign intelligence. The NSA, with the complicity of telecom giants, illegally collected the private communications of every American. The greatest assault on the Fourth Amendment in history. COVID-19 response. 2020 through 2022. Saturn-Pluto conjunction in Capricorn. Collapse of structures. Jupiter in Capricorn, centralized control. Followed the science. The crisis was used to transfer trillions to corporate interests, enforce a surveillance state, crush small businesses, and erode civil liberties under the guise of public health. A plutonic power grab, cloaked in lunar, moon, public health, fear. The Beatnik's red flags. How to know you're being gaslit by the deep state. The official line, the Beatnik's translation, the astrological indicator. So national security, shut up and stop asking questions, right? Saturn square Mercury is silencing dissent. Conspiracy theory. A true story we haven't declassified yet. Neptune opposition to the Sun, obfuscation of truth. A few bad apples. The whole orchard is rotten, but we'll throw you one fall guy. Pluto square Saturn. Scapegoating to protect the system. The intelligence community assesses. The spooks made it up and the press will print it as gospel. Neptune conjunct Mercury, lying through the media. Follow the science. Follow the corporate-funded studies we cherry-picked. Jupiter retrograde in Gemini, the bent truth. To keep you safe. To keep you compliant. Mars square Moon, fear as control. The karma of the empire. The Pluto return and reckoning. America is in its Pluto return, baby. The planet of death, rebirth, and the hidden underworld has returned to the exact degree of its founding chart, 27 degrees Capricorn, sidereal. And it's digging up every skeleton in the national closet. The Tuskegee bones, the Miley ghost, the CIA's torture chambers, the stolen land, the enslaved ancestors. Pluto doesn't care about your flags or your anthems. Pluto is the cosmic auditor and has been going through the American ledger with a fine-tooth comb. The deep state, that plutonic Saturnian creature, is terrified of this transit. They've spent decades burying the truth and now the ground is shaking. Whistleblowers are emerging, archives are being pried open, the people are starting to see the strings. The Pluto return is a death sentence for the old order. The only question is whether the nation itself will be reborn or whether it will cling to its rotten power and be dragged down into the underworld like a dying bull. The Beatnik watches the transit and sips his coffee. The music is getting intense. The Saturn-Neptune fog and manufactured reality. The deep state's greatest weapon ain't a gun, it's a narrative. Saturn-Neptune square, which has been active in the 2020s, is the perfect astrological weather for the manufacturing of reality. Saturn provides the structure, the laws, the institutions, the official channels. Neptune provides the illusion, the patriotism, the fear of the other, the comforting lie that the good guys are in charge. Together, they create a seamless, self-reinforcing bubble that most citizens never pierce. You see it in the media. The same 6 corporations own 90% of what you watch, read, and hear. They parrot the same talking points, exclude the same dissenting voices, and frame every debate within the acceptable boundaries set by the state. The Beatnik calls it the Neptunian fog machine. The astrologer watches the transits to the U.S. chart's Mercury, in Cancer, emotional propaganda, and sees the patterns of narrative control. This note in Revelations didn't happen during a random time. Uranus, sudden truth, was square to U.S. Mercury. Assange's WikiLeaks drops came with Pluto transits. The stars time the disclosures, but the deep state learns, adapts, and tightens the fog. The military-industrial complex, Mars without a conscience. Eisenhower, an old Aries general who knew the machine from the inside, warned us in 1961. He called it the military-industrial complex. That's Mars in a runaway engine, untethered from Venus, peace, or Jupiter, wisdom. The Pentagon's budget is larger than the next 10 nations combined. It is an economic entity that must feed on conflict to survive. The deep state stokes foreign wars not for freedom but for profit. Halliburton, Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, the same corporations that sit on the Defense Policy Board. The Beatnik astrologer looks at the Mars-Uranus cycles and sees a correlation with major escalations. Mars conjunct Uranus in Aries, sudden violent action. The 2003 Iraq invasion had a Mars-Jupiter square, a grandiose, reckless expansion. The permanent war economy is a karmic Cancer, and the SHA ledger is a bleeding red. Every drone strike, every civilian death, every veteran left to rot in a VA hospital is a debit. The note is a sour daddy-o, and the whole world hears it. The war on the people, from COINTELPRO to the Patriot Act. So the deep state's primary enemy has never been a foreign power. It's always been the American citizen. Every fucking time. The worker who wants a union, Mars in the 6th house of labor, suppressed by Saturn. The black activist who wants equality, Sun in Aquarius, the collective, shot down by Mars. The peacenik who refuses to kill, Neptune the dreamer, beaten by the police. COINTELPRO was a systematic Saturnine program to destroy dissent. The Patriot Act was a Pluto and Scorpio power grab using the trauma of 9/11, a Pluto transit to gut the Bill of Rights. The drug war, Neptune on a bad trip, has been a pretext for mass incarceration, Saturn, of black and brown bodies. This is the inside job. cats. The government doesn't fear the foreign spy. It fears the informed citizen. It fears the poet who speaks the fucking truth. The musician who sings of a better world. The beatnik who sees through the act, because once you see the strings, you can't unsee them. And that's the first step to cutting them. The beatnik's poems of the inside job. The man in the gray flannel suit. He wears a flag pin and a smile that doesn't reach his eyes, which are satellite dishes scanning for disloyalty. He talks of freedom with a forked tongue that signs the bills to wiretap your phone. He is not a person. He is a system, a function. A ghost in a machine of state. His God is the file. His Bible is the classified annex. His prayer is the lie repeated until it becomes the truth. Don't trust him, baby. He's the man who sold the world and kept the receipt. The whistleblower's blues. I saw the memo. I saw the code. I saw the body bags coming home for a lie told on a Sunday morning. I tried to tell them, knocked on the door of the free press, but the press was in bed with the state, sharing a cigarette of access. I leaked the files, the raw, unspun, ugly truth. And now I am in exile, a ghost in an airport, an enemy of the people for loving the people enough to tell them what was being done in their name. Saturn is heavy on my ascendant, Pluto squares my sun, but the truth is a lighter, and I've set the whole rotten thing on fire. The COINTELPRO elegy. They came for Fred at 4:30 in the morning, his partner pregnant, his head full of dreams of breakfast programs and liberation. The bullet passed through the door and through his brain, and into the heart of the movement. The FBI called it a success. The press called it a raid gone wrong. The beatnik calls it murder. There are graves across this land dug by the state, not for soldiers, but for prophets, for the ones who saw the mountain and wouldn't be moved. We remember you, Fred. Your note continues. The chorus is growing. The Patriot Act nocturne. While you slept, while the towers were still smoking, while the president spoke of vengeance, they passed a law that ate the Fourth Amendment whole. The library records, the emails, the phone calls to your mother, all swept into a black box in Utah, analyzed by algorithms. Designed to predict your disloyalty before you even think it. They called it patriotism. The beatnik calls it the death of the private soul. The panopticon is complete, and we paid for it with our taxes and our silence. Wake up, America. The dream is a nightmare. The jailer has the keys, and he's wearing your grandfather's flag. If you haven't seen this Netflix show, and it's funny because Netflix is definitely in on this shit, check out a show called Inside Job, and then come back to this video. All right. Now, I'll add this in here. Beatnik Ponderings on The Boys, Gen V, and the Astrology of False Gods. Because I'm already on The Boys Season 3, Episode 1, and there's 5 seasons. And I'm like, damn, this show is heavy as fuck and crazy as fuck and insane. And I can't believe this came out in 2019, literally right when COVID broke off. So this is a memorandum on Compound V as the karmic steroid of empire, the superhero as deep state operative, and why the soup ain't here to save you. The Cape and the Con. The Cape Conspiracy. All right, you beautiful, suspicious minds. You've seen the inside job. You've bared with me for 33 minutes. You know the deep state wears a gray flannel suit, a flag pin, and a smile that twitches when you ask about WMDs or COINTELPRO. You know that plutonic machinery of power grinds human bones into policy, but you might not have realized that the same con is being broadcast in spandex and slow motion right on your streaming service of choice. The comic book gods we were raised to worship, the Cape Crusaders, the invincible iron suits, have been inverted, finally, by a couple of shows that see the American superhero for what he really is, a government contractor with a PR team and a god complex. I'm talking about The Boys and its brash, bloody offspring Gen V. These ain't just dark satire, daddy-o. They're a Beatnik's textbook on the architecture of modern tyranny. The superhero team, the Seven, is not a rescue squad. They're a manufactured pantheon, a Neptunian illusion projected by a soulless corporation, Vought International, to keep the masses dazzled and compliant. The true powers, the compound V formula, the black budget, the media machine, are the real gods. The soups are just the altar boys, and some of them, like Homelander, have decided they'd rather be the high priest, the president, the emperor. This memorandum, the Cape and the Con, is a Beatnik's astrological autopsy of this metaphor. We'll map the 7 onto the planetary archetypes not as heroes, but as the distorted faces of the deep state we dissected earlier. Homelander is the plutonic shadow of the American presidency, the ultimate false father who can laser your skull on live TV and still get a standing ovation. The deep is the neglected, pathetic Neptune, the corrupt spirituality of a nation that preaches goodness and practices atrocity. A-Train is the Mercury of the corporate media, selling speed but running in place. Compound V is the black budget karmic steroid, the stolen fire that turns men into monsters, and the students of Godolphin University and Gen V, they are the alpha generation bred in a laboratory of ambition and trauma, sold a dream of fame while their bodies are harvested for corporate profit. It's a metaphor, see, for every young soldier, every eager intern, every citizen who signs up for the system thinking they'll be a hero, only to find out they're a fucking product. We are going to sit in the Cosmic Jazz Club and riff on what these shows tell us about our own world, because the real Homelander isn't on your screen, he's in the White House, the Kremlin, the boardroom. The real Compound V is the money, the classified clearance, and I'd even go as far to say your hormone replacement therapy. Seriously? You're going to sit here and tell me that's not going to go down as a big-ass medical fraud, what's it called? Fuck. Uninformed consent. So we will see this. Give it a few more years, not even. The nuclear codes and the real boys, they're the whistleblowers, the journalists, the beatniks with the courage to say the emperor has no cape. So light up, tune in, and let's see through the spandex. The truth is uglier, but it swings harder. Memorandum on the soup as state mythology. Dig it, cats. The deep state doesn't just rule by force, it rules by myth. Every empire needs a pantheon. In ancient Rome, it was Jupiter, Mars, and Venus. In modern America, it was Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman, archetypes of pure, uncomplicated justice beamed into the soft brains of children to teach them that power is always benevolent, that the strong should protect the weak, and that the ultimate authority is a benevolent flying dad from the sky. That was the old con. But the empire has entered its decadent, plutonic phase. Its myths have curdled. The public isn't buying the clean-cut savior anymore. They know the hero is on a pharmaceutical regimen and a government leash. So the culture machine, that Neptunian fog factory, has adapted. It now gives us, the boys, a show that pretends to be satire but is, in its own twisted way, the most honest reflection of the American power structure ever fucking broadcast. The superheroes aren't alien saviors. They are a corporate product managed by a PR team, focus group for maximum market share. They don't save people unless it polls well. They have endorsement deals, side hustles, and body counts buried by the legal department. This isn't fucking fantasy. I wish you guys would wake up. This is the CIA, the Pentagon, the Fortune 500, dressed in capes. The astrological truth. The superhuman in the Vought model is the afflicted Pluto made flesh. An ordinary human injected with Compound V, a power-enhancing serum, undergoes a random, often disfiguring transformation. Some get flight, some get gills, some get the power to explode. It's a karmic lottery. The result is a being of immense destructive potential, utterly unaccountable, and profoundly psychologically damaged. This is the plutonic archetype, the hidden power that erupts from the shadow, unintegrated and therefore monstrous. Homelander is Pluto in the 10th house, absolute public power with an empty, traumatized core. He's the American presidency post-2016, a reality TV star with the nuclear codes, a man who could destroy the world because his mother never fucking loved him. The public's worship of these soups is the Neptunian illusion that keeps the Saturnian structure intact. We cheer the strong man because we're afraid of chaos, not realizing the strong man is the chaos. The entire Vought enterprise is a perfect embodiment of the deep state trifecta we mapped in the inside job. Pluto provides the secret power, Compound V, black sites. Saturn provides the structure, the corporate hierarchy, the legal cover-ups. And Neptune provides the illusion, the movies, the merch, the carefully scripted interviews. It's the same machine, baby. The spandex is just a newer costume. The Beatnik's tables of the fallen pantheon. 7 as deep state archetypes, the celestial corruption of the superhero. So we have the soup powers, the public image, Neptune, The true self, Pluto. Astrological deep state ruler, what they represent in the inside job. So, Homelander. It's flight, super strength, heat vision, and vulnerability. The patriotic savior, the all-American dad, the reassuring smile, a narcissistic, sadistic, emotionally starving godchild who will murder anyone who threatens his image or power. Pluto and Capricorn squaring Saturn, the ultimate corrupt authority figure, the president who believes he is above the law, the imperial presidency, the unchecked executive, the leader who would burn the world for a standing ovation. Queen Maeve. Super strength, durability, combat skills, the warrior woman, feminist icon, the stoic hero, a burned out, cynical shell, complicit in atrocities, numbing her conscience with booze and regret, Mars in detriment, Libra opposite Neptune, a warrior who has lost her cause, a fighter in chains, the honest soldier trapped in dirty war, the general who knows the mission is a lie, but lacks the courage to defect. Black Noir. Silent, super strong combat master, later revealed as a clone. The enigmatic, silent, deadly protector, the Batman ripoff, a weaponized puppet, a mute instrument of corporate will, hiding a soul so fractured it hallucinates cartoons. Saturn retrograde in the 12th, hidden structure, repressed trauma, the shadow, the Black Ops agent, the drone, the deniable asset who knows no other life and cannot speak his own name. A-Train, super speed, the cool, marketable, black athlete, the fastest man alive, a symbol of meritocracy. A junkie for Compound V, desperate to stay on top, who literally runs through a woman and leaves her pulped on the sidewalk, then covers it up. Mercury combust square Neptune, the corrupted messenger, speed without truth, the PR machine, the corporate media, the press that races to break a story, trampling truth and then moves on without accountability. The Deep. Aquatic telepathy, breathing underwater, the sensitive, ocean-loving eco-warrior, the comic relief, a pathetic, insecure rapist desperate for validation, easily manipulated by cults, power, and the promise of relevance. Neptune in Cancer in the 12th house, squaring Mars, the corrupted mystic, the spiritual void, the deep, dark, sad, wet ID of the nation. The state-sponsored spirituality, the family values politician, caught with the sex worker, the church that blesses the bombs. Translucent. He is deceased in the show. Invisibility, the sneaky spy, the unseen protector, a peeping Tom, a pervert who uses his power to spy on women in bathrooms. Moon and Scorpio in the 8th house, unaspected. The hidden watcher, the voyeuristic state, the camera in your bedroom, the NSA, the panopticon, the surveillance state that sees everything, not to protect but to own. Stormfront, electrokinesis, flight, super strength, the edgy, social media savvy feminist lightning bolt, a literal Nazi, over a century old, who believes in a master race and white genocide replacement theory. Uranus in Aries square Pluto, the perversion of revolutionary fire into fascism. The spark that ignites the mob, the populist demagogue, the online hate movement, the Asian provocateur who uses free speech to build a fascist army. Alright, now let's talk about Gen V as the young deep state, the university as a souped up CIA training ground. And this is and you know what I'll say? It might as well be the military. It's like referencing the fucking military. That's what I picked up. The correlation is just too big. Okay, so you have the Gen V suit power, the Godolkin dream, the Godolkin reality, the astrological signature, as well as the inside job lesson. So we have Marie Moreau, and we're going to talk about, all the way down to Sam. So if you haven't seen the show, or the show's plural, like Gen V and the boys, this is not going to make sense for you. So Marie Moreau, she has, the power of blood manipulation, hemokinesis. To be a hero, to escape the foster system, to prove she's not a monster. The system wants to control her body, harvest her power, and use her trauma as a weapon. Her power is literally her lifeblood, and they want to own it. It's almost like a reference on your fucking plasma donations, your quote-unquote donations, but really you're selling it. and they're making money. Pluto's in the first house, conjunct the moon. Raw, transformative power tied to the deepest wound, the survivor, the young recruit, the immigrant, the orphan, the poor kid who joins the army or the agency for a better life, only to be exploited. All right. Kate Dunlap's mind control pushes people to do things, to use her power for good, to be a leader. She was groomed, manipulated, and used as a weapon by the dean, her memory repeatedly wiped to hide her crimes, a puppet with no past, Neptune on the ascendant squaring Mercury. The gaslit, the programmed, her mind is not her own, the brainwashed asset, the MK Ultra victim, the citizen whose reality is shaped by propaganda. Jordan Lee. Gender shifting. This is where it gets very interesting because they talk about this a lot. This is where it gets very fucking interesting, okay? You're going to sit here in 5 years and tell me you were right. We had to wake up. The government has been killing off our young people like that. Cancer rates are up, heart disease is up, little boys and girls are dropping because they're messing with our hormones, our biology, and they know that you're not fucking thinking with your critical thinking skills about how to actually be a parent. So, pay attention. Fucking hell. Energy blast. To be the top student, to win, to be recognized, a quote-unquote bi-gendered, biracial person uses a PR token by the university, value for optics, not substance. Mercury conjunct Uranus and Gemini, duality, fluid identity, brilliant but commodified, the token minority in the institution, the figurehead, the look we're diverse shield that hides systemic bigotry. It's all stemming from the fucking patriarchal bullshit and your fucking stereotypes. They're harming everybody. Alright, Emma Meyer, or Little Cricket. Size shifting, shrinks, requiring purging to activate, to be famous, to be loved, to escape her mother's body shaming. She's pushed into a literal eating disorder by her power, and the university's culture of fame turns her into a spectacle. Venus and Virgo square Saturn, the body as a commodity. The beauty standard as a weapon, the child star, the Instagram influencer, the young person destroyed by the entertainment industry's impossible standards. Sam Riordan, super strength, durability, severe schizophrenia, to be left alone, to be loved by Emma, to escape the woods. A tortured prisoner experimented on for years in a secret lab beneath the school, his mental illness used as a justification for his imprisonment. Moon in Pisces, opposite Pluto. The psychic wound, the institutionalized dissident, the vision of truth dismissed as madness, the political prisoner, the dissident, and the psychiatric gulag, the truth teller labeled crazy by the state. Let's look at Table 3, which is about compound V and the karmic steroid. The alchemy of corruption. All right. And then we're going to get into my expanded ponderings. Oops. Right. So we have the element, what it is in the show, Beatnik's metaphorical translation, and the astrological correlation. Okay. All right, so compound V in the show is a blue serum that injected randomly gives humans superpowers. The Beatnik's metaphorical translation is the black budget, the classified power, the Faustian bargain. All right, money, status, weapons, clearance, and secrets that make a human super but hollow. Hormones that don't belong in your body. Astrological correlation, Pluto squared Jupiter, the expansion of hidden power without wisdom, the karmic debt incurred by taking shortcuts to dominance. Vought International in the show is the pharmaceutical defense corporation that manufactures and manages superheroes. The military-industrial complex, the merger of state, pharma, media, and weapons, the private entity that profits from public chaos. Saturn in the 10th house, corporate structure, opposite the moon in the 4th house of the people, a hierarchical machine crushing the home. The woods in the show is a secret underground lab where soups are tortured and experimented on to create weapons or control mechanisms. Guantanamo, the CIA black site, the MK Ultra lab, any place the state hides its worst crimes. That could even be jails, prisons. Pluto in the 12th house, the secret prison, the hidden atrocity, the karmic rot beneath the surface, asylum. Alright? The hero ranking system in the show is a cutthroat competition for public approval and corporate contracts, and it is the electoral spectacle. The Nielsen ratings for politicians, the reality TV presidency, Sun and Leo, the spotlight, square Neptune, the illusion, the hollow competition for a crown that means absolutely fucking nothing. Alright. Moving on to my expanded ponderings, the lie that flies. First, I want to talk about Homelander, the Plutonic presidency, and the worship of the strong man. I'm pretty sure I usually just stick to 4 and then we go into my poems. All right. So we've seen them, cats. If you've seen the show The Boys, we've seen them in the news and the history books and Mirror of a Nation that would rather be feared than loved. Homelander is the deep state's ultimate creation, a being of absolute power with the emotional maturity of a wounded toddler. He can stand on a stage draped in the flag and tell the crowd he loves them while privately fantasizing about lasering the entire stadium to ash for a single boo. His natal chart, if we would cast it from the lab where he was grown and tormented, would have a sun in Leo, tightly conjunct a fixed star of hubris, square retrograde Saturn in Scorpio. No moon, no softness, only the burning need for validation and the cold, calculating cruelty of a creature who is never held, never loved, only used. He is the American president who understands that the office is not about governance, but about performance. The rallies are his hero con. The press briefings are his in-the-spotlight segments. The nuclear football is his heat vision. But here's the Beatnik's twist. Homelander is also a victim. He was raised in a lab by scientists who treated him as a weapon, not a child. The deep state creates its own monsters and then loses control of them. The strong man it cultivates to cow the public eventually turns on its handlers. We saw this with the intelligence agencies and their rogue assets. We saw it with the political machines and their populist demagogues. The inside job always backfires because power without conscience is a cancer that eats its host. The Beatnik watches Homelander's inevitable breakdown with the same dread and pity he feels watching the plutonic transits of the Empire. The fall will be catastrophic, but it will also be a clearing. Gen V and the commodification of the young, Godolkin as the farm team for the apocalypse. Gen V takes the metaphor deeper. Godolkin University is the 6th house of the Vought chart, the house of service, health, and the daily grind. It's where the young soups are sent to be trained, ranked, and psychologically broken into compliance. The army, the military. They compete for a spot on the 7, not realizing the 7 is a soul-sucking machine. They undergo brutal physical tests, media training, and social manipulation, all while a secret lab beneath the school, the woods, harvests their bodies and minds for weapons research. This is the military recruitment office, cats. It's the inner city high school that funnels kids into the army because, hey, it's the only way to pay for college. It's the Ivy League that turns out consultants for McKinsey who will later gut the EPA. It's the acting school that promises stardom and delivers couch casting and exploitation. The young soups have the alpha generation's potential. They are powerful, diverse, and aware of the corruption, but they're trapped in a system designed to co-opt them before they can rebel. The true horror of Gen V is not the core. It's the karmic grooming. The deep state, like Vought, knows it must capture the young early. Before they learn the truth about the machine, they're oiling. Let's talk about the false flag of heroism, how Vought creates crises to sell solutions. No Beatnik analysis of The Boys is complete without noting the show's most brilliant satire, Vought's use of Compound V to create supervillains whom the soups can then defeat on camera. It's a classic Pluto-Neptune false flag. The corporation manufactures a threat to justify its own power and profit. This is the Gulf of Tonkin, the weapons of mass destruction, the terrorist plots broken up by the FBI that they themselves orchestrated. The deep state's Pluto in the 12th house creates chaos, and its Neptune in the 10th spins it into a narrative of salvation. The public, terrified, begs for more soups, more security, more Patriot Acts. The con is so elegant, it's almost beautiful, in the way a snake's scales are beautiful before it strikes. The Boys as the Beatnik resistance, the unpowered truth-tellers. And who are the heroes of this story? Not the soups. It's a ragtag band of damaged, ordinary humans. Butcher, Huey, Mother's Milk, Frenchie, Kimiko. They are the beatniks, the whistleblowers, the dissidents. They have no powers, no capes, no media machine. They have only their wits, their trauma, and a relentless, often self-destructive commitment to the truth. Butcher is the Mars in exile, the righteous fury that is curdled into vengeance. Huey is the Mercury in Aquarius, the nervous, talkative civilian who stumbles into the conspiracy and can't look away. is a Saturn in the fourth, the family man fighting to build a safe world for his daughter. Frenchie is the Venus in Pisces, the artist and lover who soothes the pain with chemistry and compassion. Kimiko is the moon in Scorpio, the silent, deeply scarred survivor who communicates through violence and eventually love. They are the proof that you don't need a cape to fight the machine. You don't need superpowers to see through the lie. You need clarity, community, and the courage to keep swinging even when the odds are 1,000,000,000. The Beatnik's tools are his pen, his sax, his coffee, and his unshakable refusal to worship the false gods. The boys are us, stripped of the illusion that the system will ever fix itself. Beatnik poems for the fallen soups. Homelander's lullaby. I can hear your heartbeat. From 10 miles up, it's a scare little drum, a rabbit in a cage. I could stop it with a thought. I could level your city block. I could do anything I want, and I will, and I will. And you will clap, because you made me, and you're too scared to unmake me. The deeps lament. They laugh at me. The fish whisper secrets that I can't repeat without sounding mad. I could tell you the ocean is dying. I could tell you the abyss is lonely. But you put me in a reality show and make me sing for my supper. I touched a star once, deep under the Marianas. It was more real than your whole world. I wish I'd stay there. Compound V blues. A little blue vial, a lifetime of debt. You think you're getting wings, but they're just puppet strings in a pretty corporate color. The scientist said, this will make you special. The PR rep said, this will make you loved. The shrink said, this is a normal reaction. The soup said, get out of my light. The only real power is the power to say no, but they didn't put that in the serum. The woods elegy for the test subjects. Down the stairs, past the smell of bleach and fear, there are rooms where the lights never turn off. A boy who can stretch into forever is tied in a knot. A girl with a voice that shatters steel is silenced with a surgical scar. This is the cost of the cape. This is the foundation of the tower. Every hero on the screen has a ghost in the basement. Remember the ghost. They never signed the contract. They just woke up here. A beatnik's prayer against the soup. Grant me the eyes to see the cape for what it is. A flag, a brand, a shroud. Grant me the ears to hear the speech for what it is. A sales pitch, a lie, a lullaby. Grant me the heart to love the human, not the icon. To trust a powerless truth teller, not the powerful con man. And grant me the nerve, Daddy-O, the raw, unpowered, compound-free nerve. To stand in front of the tank. To whisper the secret into the mic. To tear the mask off the monster, even if the monster is the whole damn world. Alright. In my next video, I'm going to teach you about progressed potentials, progressed planets, and how to study them using my own natal chart. With peace and love, I will see you there. Piscean out.